So tell me when, are we just, does it matter when we start or not?
Nope, we're all good.
We are good. Well, let's bring the Thursday, April 3rd, 2025 Webster, New York Town Board meeting to order. Say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deneen, can you do roll, please?
Supervisor Flaherty.
Here.
Councilman Cahill.
Here.
Councilwoman Wynn. Here. Councilwoman Wright. Here. Attorney to the Town Taylor.
Here. All right, first order up tonight is open to the floor, where each speaker is allowed up to 5 minutes to speak about anything their heart desires. Do we have any takers tonight? Going once. Going twice. We do not. We will move on to the next agenda item. I have reviewed the workshop meeting from 2 weeks ago, March 20th. I make a motion that we approve those minutes.
Second. Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn. Aye. Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright. Aye.
And I also went over the regular town board meeting minutes from March 20th, 2025, and make a motion to approve those.
Aye. For second, I'm sorry.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn. Aye. Councilwoman Wright. Aye.
And Councilwoman Wright, I think it was you this week, wasn't it?
It was. I reviewed the bills, everything's in order, asked a few questions along the way, and would make a motion for consideration to approve the bills as submitted by the Director of Finance.
Second. Councilwoman Wright. Aye. Councilwoman Wynn. Aye. Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
And I went over the prepaid warrants as submitted by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance. Make a motion to approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn. Aye. Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
And I also went over the purchase orders as submitted by Paul Adams, the Director of Finance, and make a motion that we approve those.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn. Aye.
All right, well, usually I have Paul kind of give an update on this, but this is almost a housekeeping item every year right around now. We're right in April after we get done with the financial audit. Part of that is to accept these agreed upon procedures for the justice accounts, the town court bank accounts. These, you have the report, the audit from Mango Webster Bar. Like I said, there was no real per se change to these. Does anybody have any questions before we?
I do not.
No.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the 2024 Town of Webster agreed upon procedures for the justice accounts report dated March 24th, 2025.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn. Aye. Councilwoman Wright. Aye.
Now, the next one it was a workshop presentation earlier this evening, and a couple things on this before, if we have any more questions or comments by the board members, is that one, I can't make this motion because the bad form to make a motion that I'm authorizing myself to sign. Two, should we add in, Kyle, the dollar amount, $69,300? It's in there?
Yes, it's on the formal resolution to authorize supervisor to sign a contract in an amount not to exceed $69,300.
Okay. And then the other thing is that, correct me if I'm wrong, I have not seen this contract yet.
There's a proposal, the details of the contract will be formalized.
So can we just word the contract pending attorney review? I don't, and this is something that, I don't sign any contracts until town council tells me that looks good or proposes a red line on that.
Yeah, we could have like.
You're shared with the board also, I would assume, correct?
share it with the board.
Contract.
Can you elaborate on that, John?
Well, we don't have a contract, right? Want to see something?
We have a
Um,
proposal.
yeah,
With a proposal.
This is a proposal.
All right.
Yeah, the proposal usually has the skeleton of it. I like the attorney to go over the actual wording of the contract to make sure there's not something in there that we regret. It's very common to do an authorization of the supervisor to sign a contract where I don't sign it for a couple of weeks. In fact, we have our monthly clerk meeting, because then after the resolution, there's still a process potentially where the attorney looks at the contract that comes from the proposal, the skeleton, and says, well, there's some wording in there that I would not suggest you sign that. We have to go back and whatever. That's happened in the 5+ years I've been supervisor, where we did a motion, a resolution to authorize me to sign as a supervisor, and then it kind of got stopped for a little bit, as at that point Charlie Genesi and myself went back to the vendor and made sure some clarifications of verbiage and things like that. And then as far as, and this is something that I give Dolly McGuire a lot of credit for, and Deneen, you've taken it to the next level, is that we need these contracts, these executed contracts on file in the clerk's office. And that's, that's uber important. So, and I know some of the town board members over the years, as well they should, hey, can I see that contract? And you're able to pull it out like that. We didn't have that ability in some cases 5 years ago, and that was problematic. So I appreciate what Dolly and you have done. Other than that, whoever wants to take a shot at this, or any questions they may have?
So I'll move to approve the Innovative Contracting Services, ICS contract for Phase 1, GIS services, and to have the supervisor sign said contract pending attorney review for an amount not to exceed $69,300.
Second. Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn. Aye. Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
And this was Gusto and Josh's presentation of the board earlier tonight at the workshop. This is to set the public hearing for May 1st, advertise the proposed changes in the Webster Herald. It also goes on our website and all that. So I'll make a motion to set a public hearing on May 1st, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. in the Webster Town Boardroom right here on potential code changes relating to code enforcement, and to be published in the Wednesday, April 16th, 2025 edition of the Webster Herald.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Cahill.
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn. Aye. Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
This next one, you may recall that, I think it was Ann Riley, who used to be a town attorney, actually. She represents the Fox family and Charlie Fox and the group across the street here from Town Hall, and what is it, Bridge Commons. And I want to say last August they had their engineer, was it Mike Montalvo from Costitch? Yes. He came in and presented to the board at a workshop, I think it was a workshop about amending this PDD that had been set up back in 2019 on this property across the street. There was that didn't go anyplace because there was a few problems that had to be worked out, but I think they have been worked out, Josh. That's the best way I can explain it. So they are ready to come back and have a public hearing on what essentially is more of an amendment corrective action on this PDD that was set up in 2019. And I will just say this, The corrective action is that the PDD is essentially over a 20-acre parcel where 3 of the acres are in MHR zoning.
Correct. MHR for,
Medium, high-density residential.
is this the same property that potentially has some wetlands in there? Or no?
No, this is where Wendy's is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
And then the other 17 acres is MC. Well, PDDs are appropriate and applicable to MC. Can't have them at an MHR. So it's it was one of those things, Kyle, that they did it back in 19. It would never hold muster if this thing moves along and there's an Article 78 because it's a flawed PDD. I guess it's correcting it and truncating it back to just the MC part of it,
Correct. Exactly.
is the first line of business on this. Where it goes from there, who knows? But that just gives you an idea of what the action they're looking to do in this public hearing. And I did tell them, barring, we usually don't vote the night of a public hearing. We wait for a couple of weeks to, especially if there's people that come and speak against it. So I think we've given them a realistic time frame for when this public hearing is going to be, but then also when the board would, vote on whether to approve the corrective action, which would be at the earliest come May 15th. That's correct. So, with that in mind, I make a motion to set a public hearing for, I'm going to say 7:30, Thursday, May 1st, 2025, right here in the Webster Town Boardroom, to do an amendment / corrective action to a PDD set up in 2019 on Ridge Commons and to publish said public hearing in the Wednesday, April 16th, 2025 edition of the Webster Herald.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
Okay, we have 3 left. The next 2 pertain to another presentation that happened tonight on change orders on the conveyance pipe project from Tibor Road to Phillips trunk line. Does anybody have any questions or additional comments on this? I'll make a motion to approve change order number 3 for the Morse Pipeline Inc. construction contract with regard to the Phillips to Tibor Road conveyance pipe project, HO 237. The change order is to reroute the sewer for the Monroe County Water Authority, which is an additional cost of $76,868.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn.
Aye.
And then I make a motion to approve change order number 5 for the Morris Pipeline Inc. construction contract in regard to the Phillips to Tibor Road conveyance pipe project, HO 237. The change order is for ACP removal from section 1 to section 3 near Phillips Road, which is an additional cost of $382,503.01.
Second.
Supervisor Flaherty,
Aye.
Councilman Cahill,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wynn,
Aye.
Councilwoman Wright.
Aye.
And just, Art, you're still there, I mean, this, when Paul pointed this out to us within the rest of these, you got other, change order 1, change order 2, change order 4, they were under the threshold.
That's correct.
Just wanted to make sure, because I guess I never noticed, man, it goes from 3 to 5, what happened to 4? Well, those other ones were under the threshold.
Number 10, do you know what the cost is for this engineering design contract? Okay, it is.
$369,635.
Could you say that a little faster, please?
$369,635.
Thank you.
This, actually, since it's our last one, and I know Paul, he is here tonight, and Art is there. This was a workshop 2 weeks ago, really to present that we're applying for the federal earmark grant. We were gonna do it by March 31st, it got extended till tomorrow.
Correct.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, Art, we took advantage of that, we got 32 letters of support now?
I believe it's 32, yeah, 33.
33, that's pretty impressive. Yeah, but at the workshop last week, as Art and Paul presented and showed screens of, the condition of Bosford, there was a groundswell here amongst the board that, this is an urgency thing, we need to start the design and engineering. And at that, I think in the minutes of the workshop, there was a question asked, I think by Councilman Hale, what kind of costs are we talking about? And Art answered, probably around $400,000. So, I think I said I've got my marching orders from the other board members. I will bring in 2 weeks, tonight, April 3rd, the resolution on authorizing and getting that engineering and design started. And I think, like you said, I know that there's a proposal in here. It's $369, but it's got a $15,000 other in there, isn't that?
That's right. That's inclusive of that, 15,000.
Right.
The 369 is.
So,
Okay. So the only, our call, that 369 is for 100% of the drawings or not? Paul?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, okay, Paul.
Thank you, Paul. So I know we've seen estimates for other projects that, okay, here's what your architectural fee is estimate is going to be for only 50% of the drawings, which I'm in construction, I don't understand that because we always get 100% of the drawings before we put any estimate to it. So I don't know what that process is, which is the impetus to my question to you.
Sure. The design phase proposal that we have put together essentially takes the project and puts together the plans and the specifications, complete package, essentially bid ready. It gets submitted to the agencies for approval, easements if necessary get taken care of, all gets taken care of in that period of time. So then the finished product of the design phase is a bid ready set of documents.
And I would assume because it's bid ready, your overall costs that are, provided to the town board are much more accurate than they would be if you only were projecting 50, your price is under 50%, is that correct?
Yeah, internally, we look at the costs as we go, as we start to develop the components. So let's say the pumps are the big component piece. As we talk to manufacturers during the design phase, we might analyze in-house the cost of, one pump versus another pump and look at the advantages and disadvantages. But our final cost estimate, we do it like at 95%. And that is kind of our engineer's estimate prior to bid.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much, appreciate it.
Yep.
That was the only
great
question.
question, and thank you, because it's funny, because this is moving fast, which like I said, I was thrilled that the board thought we should move on this because of the urgency. But as we put this together the last 2 weeks, it dawned on me, like, John just asked a great question. Thank you for that answer. When do you think, you'll be back in front of the board saying, this is what we came up with based on this design, the estimates, and we're ready to go out to bid?
Yeah, I would say, probably 4 to 6 months. We have to get submitted to agencies for approval. That's usually the wild card of the whole bunch. And we know how long it takes us to design improvements, but to get an agency to approve it, it's out of our control. But I would say our plan is probably 6 months to get the design done.
Also, I have some information from Albany. There is a SWAP Act. I don't know if you heard of that. It's a Safe Water Action Plan that it would allocate $100 million a year to municipalities for sewer and water projects. And it certainly could help, with the cost for the Webster Road sewer pump station. And, I would suggest for us, people who are watching and all of us here, to call our representative in Albany to ask them to pass the bill into law this year. And this bill is just like the CHIPS, program, and it's already in the budget right now. The New York State Association of Town has endorsed the SWAP legislation, and we are part of that organization. Some people, and this is, just something I want to refresh. People may say that grants are just another taxpayer money, and the state is gonna, give out $100 million in grants anyway, for projects. So if we don't apply for the grants, we will lose out. So we need to take an advantage of that so that we can help our taxpayer.
What was that called again?
It's called the SWAP, SWAP Act.
That's not.
It's called Safe Water Action Plan. And it's from the Association of Town that, that they have been supporting it, so. And right now, they're about to pass it, but, we need to call our legislators and let them know to, to pass the bills, and it would help municipality like ours.
Yeah, well,
Are you saying it's a bill in front of, or it's part of the budget? that
It's
is
in front of
being
the bill.
proposed?
It's a bill that right now is in Albany, and we need to be, advocates to have them pass. It's like a CHIPS program, but it's a bill.
Is it new?
It's something new. It's only 100,000, where the CHIPS is, they allocate 500,000 for the programs. This is something new that, I believe HOCO is, put it out there, and I know the Association of Town is supporting it, and they encourage us to, 2 years ago, I went to Albany to advocate for us, as a representative from the town, for association, of that organization, and I met with a lot of legislators that I have been friends with and everything. And that is something in the news that they sent it out to me. That's how I get most of my information. So,
okay. And you said $100 million per
Right.
year?
right now, they allocate, they put aside $100 million for water and sewer projects for municipalities.
Okay.
Okay?
Mhm.
That's great news, actually. I would say we would probably want to investigate if our $4 million federal grant application would get swirled if we went for, well, first that thing's got to pass. And like I said, call legislators.
We need to call them.
And then if and when it passes, then we'll have to look where we're at with the federal earmark through Schumer's office and Jill Brandt's office. And then I think when Morelli's opens up, we'll do that. And we'll keep the board apprised what we hear back from Senator Schumer, Senator Jill Brandt's office, and/or Congressman Morelli. This 4 to 6 months on the design and what the estimated costs are, and then put the bid packages out. I don't even know if we'll really hear anything back on the federal earmark by then, because the way it was explained to me is that one or more of those senators and congressperson has to get behind it and say, I want to do it. I want to do this for Webster. And then if we cross that bridge, which we'll know by October, then they go to the federal budget setting and for 26, and it starts in October of 25. And they got to then get earmarks into the federal budget, just in general. And there's been several budgets lately that haven't had earmarks. I don't know what the winds will be like in Washington come October for that. To give some point of reference, the 25 budget is not done yet, and that started in October 24. So I don't know what they've done on earmarks in the last 6 months. Has that been stricken from this budget? But you get an idea. I mean, but this is the grant process, you know what I mean? And so you can't catch the fish if you don't put the line in the hook in the water. So as we find out things, and hopefully they're positive things on that federal grant, but if they're not, we need to be prepared to take a look at what Jenny just described. So I'm hopeful that that $100 million bill passes and becomes a law, or whatever you would call it.
And just to update you really quickly on the application to be submitted tomorrow, Lori Fox from our office is prepared to get that submitted tomorrow. The one letter that she was waiting for was Senator Brought's letter. And we need to submit it by noon tomorrow. So,
Yeah. Senator Brock's office said it is forthcoming,
okay.
but, I mean, so we had that situation with the Fairlight thing, and so it's a bit of a dance. We've got 3 or 4 people that are pinging our office now saying, I mean, like, we need it now.
Yep.
You know, we said we needed it last Friday.
So if we don't hear anything by noon, it's okay to go ahead and submit?
You gotta launch, I mean, you know, we're not gonna hold up that stuff, and
Okay.
whether you can have it be a trailing document, I don't know how to service, I mean, if we get it next week, I don't know.
Thanks for coming in tonight, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Jennifer, you want to do this one, or you want me to?
Yeah, I can do it, I checked, got something here. I'll make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign a contract with the MRV Group for the engineering and design on the Bosford Pump Station, pending attorney review, not to exceed an amount of $369,635.
Second.
Councilwoman Wright? Aye. Councilwoman Wynn?
Aye.
Supervisor Flaherty?
Aye.
Councilman Cahill?
Aye.
Well, that concludes the formal part of the meeting tonight, which, by the way, John, went 27 minutes. Actually, you were done with the first 9 resolutions and all that in 15 minutes, but I think the
I'm
last,
impressed, you did quite well.
yeah, the last 12 minutes, we needed to have that robust
Yes, we did.
conversation. But, who wants to start with, well, Keith, I gotta start with Keith at that end on the round table.
Remind me again what we do here?
Challenges and wins of the week.
Challenges and wins of the week. Can it come back to me?
You don't,
That's it.
you can say, I have nothing, you know, you presented tonight, I bet you GIS is.
There's your win right
Yeah,
there.
Yeah, that is
There's
our
your
win. We are happy to get off the starting block with it. I will tell you that.
That's the win, and the challenge was getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah, trying to understand what we needed to do.
Right.
It's been the challenge.
Josh?
I'm happy to report that we will publicly be officially launching the comprehensive plan project next week. We have a press conference scheduled for Tuesday the 8th and a press release. And we have scheduled our first public meeting, which will be held at the Webster Recreation Center on April 22nd at 6 p.m. So we certainly encourage everyone to attend.
Challenges. It's been a challenging 2.5 weeks for numerous reasons, one including the weather. But we're moving forward. Contractors are moving forward. We're taking advantage of what little good weather we have. We're getting our flush trucks out and making good progress on really on a lot of fronts. I do want to take the opportunity to thank Kyle. He has been accessible, helpful for the past few weeks, so I do appreciate that.
Got a lot going on there.
A little bit. Jennifer?
I I'm not prepared for my challenges and accomplishments for the week. There's too many and none of them are relevant to the town, so. I will say, it's that time of year, and the highway department has mulch, and they actually charge to deliver, so you can get a very large truckload of mulch for $50 delivery charge. I had 5 already delivered to my house. There'll probably be 5 more coming,
So is
but
that $50 per?
per truck, per
delivery?
truck.
That's quite reasonable.
So
How many
it's
yards are in a truck?
a lot.
If
It's a 10-wheel truck.
That's a 10-wheel, so you're probably gonna fit,
Wow.
close to 15 to 20.
Yeah, I think that's what I got last year.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
But it's
What do you put-
fantastic. There's,
You had 5 of those?
yeah, I need 5 more.
What are you gonna ask for your
And so I have a big yard, mulch around the trees, the big pile in the front, so it doesn't look like an eyesore. Everybody drives by. But it's great. I mean, for $50, there's some people scooping it up for free, which is great if you have a truck or a trailer, but $50, you can have it dumped right in your yard, right, pretty much where you want it to go, so. Great service, take advantage. It goes fast. I missed out last year. That's why I was like early, like, get me on the list.
was there.
Wrote my check, got my mulch.
You saved a lot of money, believe me.
Kyle?
I have nothing to report this week, hopefully working on a couple of wins that we can report on in the near future.
I'm gonna go over to Jenny, and I don't say anything, but I will say, and I've said this a couple times, 3+ months, Art said Kyle's been great. Kyle's been great.
Appreciate that.
I am right with Art on that.
Jenny. Okay, so the warm weather is approaching, so please check out and participate in all the wonderful events and activities that will be happening in our town. Also, too, I encourage and I would like to have people come out and support our Webster Library and Webster Museum. They exist because of you. And I deeply in my heart, I would like to thank all our veterans for their sacrifice and all the men and women in uniforms. I love this country, and I wish, and I know everybody feels the same way too. God bless America, and have a wonderful night.
Thanks, Jenny. John?
Challenge 2 days ago was 32 degrees. Wind today, it was over 60. The village and the town are beginning their spring cleanups. So get your stuff out to the road as soon as possible, especially in the village. Leftover leaves and sticks, and they'll come around and mulch it up. So they do a great job at that, both the town and the village.
I'm embarrassed to say that the town does that?
Well, the village does.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to one-up the town.
Yeah,
No, I-
not the town, because that was the first question I asked when I
Please
got
put down there,
elected.
the town does not do
I'm
that.
probably gonna call from Pat Stevens in
Uh,
about 10
You
minutes.
might,
and
you're
then-
right.
The town does not do that. But thanks. The village, that's a nice.
Yeah, it's a nice service, it really is, and they do a great job.
Deneen, you live in the town. I don't want your husband and you putting stuff down at the road after that, okay?
Noted.
What you got?
Business as usual at town clerk's office and tax receiver. We did go through our annual audit.
Well, that concludes tonight's meeting. Thank you, everybody. We are adjourned. Thank you, sir. And that was 8:39. We started at 8:05. Not bad. 34 minutes. All right, you want me to sign some stuff? Super. Take this.